Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. It's a time where we can relax and craft together for about an hour, and we work on projects through the whole process from beginning to end, so you can be there along the whole way and sew with me or stitch with me. So thanks again for joining me. Tonight we're going to continue on the Splendid Sampler 2 Quilt Along. It's based on the book, The Splendid Sampler 2. We are working our way through with the larger Splendid Sampler group. So Pat Sloan and Jane Davidson are the authors of this, and they have set up this quilt along. Go check out more at thesplendidsampler.com. We are working on the grandfather clock, the block right here. Super cute, but look, it is got all those interesting shapes and everything. All of that, all those detailed, like that detailed top and everything, all that is done with foundation paper piecing, and that is what we're going to continue tonight. So for example, here we go. Here's a little glimpse at foundation paper piecing. Look at all those tiny, crazy pieces. So if you ever wondered how someone can put together all these triangles and all these interesting shapes to make like curved pieces and all that, just really intricate designs. It's usually with foundation paper piecing, and that means we are sewing onto a foundation. It's a paper foundation, and it has all the pieces listed there, and we're basically sewing each piece to the paper foundation one by one in order. So it's actually easier than what it looks like, and it's just kind of magic that all these shapes fit together just perfectly. So we are almost done with the foundation paper piecing part of this project, and I think we just have 3 more very easy looking pieces. So we will crank those out, and I think we'll be able to start putting together all of the sections, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a sec here when I flip you around. But thanks again for joining me. Oh, Joe, you're knitting dishcloths. So I still want to get some of that yarn for all of us for dishcloths. So I will be putting that together soon as well. And maybe we'll do a little knitting tutorial again coming up here. So awesome, you guys. Oh, hey, Jenny, thanks for joining us. All right, I'm going to flip you around and let's get paper piecing. All right, here we are. So these are all my sections so far. Let's just get that A piece. This is that intricate piece that goes up on the top here. So you can kind of see with all these pieces the clock coming together a little bit. So it's still pretty abstract, but you know, you can kind of see we got this circle happening in here with this fabric. Inside here, we're going to applique the face of our clock. So we got all these applique pieces to do yet. So that circle will be on the face of the clock. All of these little details will be on. Right here will be the pendulum. So we got the little pendulum bar there, and then we got the weight of the pendulum, the bob, right there. And so those are all applique. So all we're dealing with now are these foundation paper pieces, and all we have left are the I, J, and K pieces here. So not much going on with these, which is great. They should be relatively easy. And these two are very similar, so we can cut out the pieces at the same time. And that's going to be that for the paper piecing. We did this one yesterday, so here's the back of that one, all our sewing here. But all right. Let's get going. So I'm going to just scooch all of this out of our way, and we'll start sewing these together tonight too. So it'll really start, I think, looking like the clock later tonight here. Okay, let's take these two first. So I've color coded them. All right. let's see, I got purple and brown. That's my swirly fabric, and then the brown fabric is that kind of speckled fabric here. So the speckled fabric is the brown, and the swirl here. I always have to look at my color coding again. Okay, so let's take a look at these pieces. We have I1 and I2 here. So the 1 pieces are our first pieces. That is the swirl. So let's cut these at the same time. Find a good spot for them. How about right here? So we need a piece as big as our I1 and J1 pieces here, plus a generous seam allowance. So I think all I'm going to do is just kind of cut a rectangle. That'll get us a decent enough shape. So let's just I'm going to fold it in half so we can get 2 pieces at once. It kind of has a built-in seam allowance here, so I'm just going to scooch it in even more. How about like right like that, I think will do for us. Just going to put a little crease in there. I'm going to just do this by hand with the rotary cutter. All right, there. And straight up. Get a little clippy out here. Yeah, so this paper piecing, it looks super tiny and detailed, which it is, but it's actually just the same process as a bigger paper pieced or a paper piecing project with bigger pieces and not so intricate and tiny shapes. It really is the same process. So it's not going to make it really any more difficult by having all these different pieces. All right, I'm looking for there it is. My little glue stick here. So let's glue down our I1 and J1 pieces. The first piece of every section, like the I1 and the J1, A1, all of those are glued. I just glue them down. So I'm just putting a little tack of glue right in the middle of it there. Try and get it down before it dries. We're gluing it to the wrong side of the fabric. Wow. And we want to get it in there so that, the fabric is still as big as our piece here, plus the generous seam allowance. Oh, I can hardly pick these up tonight. All right, dab of glue. Okay. Step 1 is done. All right, next up, let's get our perfect seam allowance. So the seam allowance we're looking for is the piece that's putting the I2 piece and the J2 piece onto the I1. So we're looking at this seam right here, this little line here. So what I'm going to do is put my postcard on that line, exposing the second piece. The piece 2 is what we're working on now. Let's flip this back. All right, and to get our perfect seam allowance, I just cut 1/4 inch away. All right, there we are. And let's do this one right away as well. When you have similar pieces, like this this I piece is pretty similar to the J piece, so we can do them both. Shoop. Whew, it's supposed to be starting to get cold here, starting tomorrow, you guys. I think we're gonna get, by Friday, I think we're supposed to be like -20 to 25 here in the Twin Cities, which is crazy cold. It's actually supposed to be up north, in northern Minnesota. It's supposed to get to -40 to 45. Oh my God, that's just, sickens my stomach a little bit thinking about that. That is so cold. All right, I'm gonna try and get, maybe we can go this way. Yeah, I think we have just enough fabric to go in this direction here for these pieces. So again, I need a piece as big as these. So I'm gonna just trim them like right here, but then we do need to cut for those angles. So I'm just kind of getting prepped here. Taking some liberties with these small pieces here. I'm gonna just fold this in half. Get that line, and then we're just gonna... Okay, so I do wanna get, we have this weird angle in here, so I do wanna make sure that we get that straight edge. I'm gonna just kind of double this fabric up just to, because I'm gonna cut the mirrored edge. So we want this angle. So what I'm gonna do is put my, the piece that I'm working on, this J2 piece, I'm gonna set that on here. And then to get that angle, I'm gonna just fold it onto that line, or fold it onto the, where we got that perfect seam allowance before, and I'm gonna just add that angle to here. There we go. Now I should be able to take this piece here, the one that was facing down, that one I should be able to put right sides together with this one, like so. It looks wacky. Angles can get wacky with paper piecing. So you do want to do your tests, and I'll show you that. But look, even though it looks like a crazy angle, it's gonna fold up to be that straight line again. So we'll have to do a test just to make sure. But here's this piece. Let's get this one in the right spot. Right sides together. So let's do our little test just to make sure we have it in just the right spot. So I'm gonna flip it around. Oh, let's get the right sides. Let's get these edges lined up a little bit better. There you go. I lined up my edge with right sides together. And now I'm gonna pretend sew along my line. And I'm gonna do that by just getting a pin and putting it in and out on that line. There we go, like that. And then I'm gonna pretend press. So I'm gonna just fold it up along my pin. Ooh, and see here, it looks like I might not have it scooched down my edge far enough, because look, I don't have it completely, I don't have my seam allowance covered right here. So it's supposed to cover this two piece plus the generous seam allowance, but look, it's too far over. So we need to scooch it down the line a little bit. So a good thing I did that test. So I'm gonna just scooch it down that way. So let's maybe try like right here. Get together there. All right, and do the test again. So this is one of the reasons why I like using bigger pieces, bigger blobs typically. I just kind of cut it a little slim this time, but you know, now I'm paying for it by having to do all these tests. But look there, that's much better. So I folded it up against my fake sewing line, the pin, and now I'm covering my seam allowances there. So now I'm in the right spot. So I'm glad, super duper glad I did that test there. Let's do the same thing here. This time I'm gonna err on the side of going a little further down, further than I think. Like I just kind of centered it, and that didn't seem right, because this one I centered and I needed it to move it down. So I'm gonna move this one down already, just a hair. And let's grab another pin. Have some hiding underneath my table here. Okay, there we are. So let's flip this over and test this one. And I can just leave these pins in while I'm just like till right before I sew. All right, there's our fake sewing there with our pin and our fake pressing. Kind of a little difficult with just this piece, but I think we're good. I think we got it. I think I did cut enough seam allowance for this to work. It looks like I could scooch it down a little bit, but I think we're in the safe zone, so I'm just gonna leave it. All right, so that's that. Let's sew our 2 pieces. Oh, Gretchen, you had a moment where you didn't, you had to re-sew a shape. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I love this testing method, because even when you think it's right, like I thought for sure I had that in that first one in the right spot, but wasn't quite there. All right, so I'm gonna sew along that line here where my pin is, where we fake sewed it, but since it's touching a seam allowance, I'm also gonna extend that line into the seam allowance. So I'm gonna remove my pin now. I'm also gonna put a little back tack in there just to kind of lock it down. So back tack is just when I sew backwards once or twice and then forward again. All right, through that line and through that other seam allowance. Such tiny little pieces. All right. Grab my little skizzers. All right, let's snip these ends right away. Get rid of any fuzzles. Okay. And there we go. That's our first piece. Let's get the second one done right away, and we will move over to the iron. All right, same deal. I'm gonna sew into that seam allowance. Ooh, these edges don't even seem to be matched up. Oh yeah, we're a little twisted here. I'm gonna just tweak that a hair and hope we're all right. Okay. Flip that over. All right, and into that allowance there. Oh man, Leslie, you had a day where it was measured at -63. Yeah, that is cold. Oh man, I'm not looking to -20. That's about that's about 40 degrees colder than it was today. Today it got up to like around 20 degrees, which in itself is pretty dang chilly. But man, you can feel a huge difference between 20 and -20, that's for sure. Oh, cold is not the same. All right, let's finger press this up, and it looks like it's in the exact right spot there, so I'm happy about that. Oops, sorry you guys, I shouldered ya. Okay, there's the first. So which piece is this? Oh, this is the J piece. So here we are. We'll trim it up as well, but let's get this piece. We're putting the printed side down. We don't want our iron to hit that. All right, finger press first. We're looking good here too. Actually, we might be a little hair off here, but it's not gonna matter so much. So here we are, look, it's a hair crooked and I missed a tiny bit of seam allowance there. So I might have just sewn a little crooked, but it's still, we got plenty of room to sew here still, so that's not gonna be a big problem for us at all. But you can see how, you know, if you don't make your pieces big enough, how easy it is for them to be just a hair off. All right, let's trim these and then we'll move on to our last piece. We only have one more paper piece. So I'm gonna use this line, this black line, as my guide to cut a 1/4 inch. Even though I can see, you know, the paper 1/4 inch, I'm gonna use the actual line. So I'm gonna go on, put my 1/4 inch marker here on the line. Might snip some paper off, that's fine. This is where we clean up our edge, and it looks perfect. All right. Second edge. Don't really need this rotary cutting mat for this, but it's still handy. I like it. Whoop, moved a little bit. Okay. There, the J piece is all cleaned up. Cute. There we go. And let's do the other one. This is the I piece. This is the one that we got a little off on. Maybe this is the one that I should have tested or tried again, scooched it down a little bit more. Oh well, that's what I get. Luckily, it's not a big enough problem that it won't get sewn in. All right, one more side. So we got a little dusting of snow too, but not really anything. We've been totally lacking snow this winter. It's goofy. All right, there are the I and J pieces. So I'm going to set those aside. Usually I like seeing what they look like in the whole piece. Like I like kind of laying it out as I go. But in this case, since we just have one more piece, we just have this K piece, and I want to just get her done, I'm going to move ahead. So, all right, and then we'll kind of lay it all out here. Next up, K, we have the K1. So we'll do we do them in order. So we have K1, K2, and K3. So first we'll do K1. This is where we'll glue it down. I'll probably put a dab of glue here and a dab of glue here just because it is a long, kind of awkward piece here. And then we'll do this little corner here and this corner there. We'll probably cut these out at the same time too because again, it's another little mirror image of each other. So all right, let's grab, well, color again. Let's just double check. All right. So the brown, that's still this speckled, and then the white, this is white. So that is our white fabric. We do have white fabric for the background in this piece, so haven't used the white in a little while though for this. All right, gosh, this is all I have left of this fabric, so man, good thing we didn't wait any longer to do this piece because it's not gonna fit in many places. We'll go along this edge here. I'm just gonna cut it, freehand cut it with my rotary cutter. I don't need the ruler or anything. I can just go slow. We'll cut all the way across. All right. I think we're actually done with that piece of fabric. This is our last time we'll need to use this speckled fabric for this piece. All right, I'm just cutting a rectangle. I could have cut, these little corners off, but, it's way easier in a piece like this just to cut a rectangle. So, all right, and just another note, whenever I'm cutting fabric out, I always have it right side down for foundation paper piecing because we're always looking at the back. So all these graphics, all this coloring, this is the wrong side, the back side. So I have this mimicking that, so that's the wrong side as well. So when we sew it down and flip it around, then it's the right side. Okay, so let's put a dab of glue. I think we'll do the dabs one at a time because it seems to dry awfully fast. All right, we'll put a dab here. Okay, I might do 3 because it's just a long, awkward piece. There we are. Comfortably attached. Alrighty, so let's get our pieces lined up. And you know what? I think I might just trim both of these at the same time. Doing a pile of steps all at once. Since these don't touch, they're the K2 and this K3 piece, they're kind of unrelated on this. Like one doesn't go into the other, so it's not going to matter if I just trim them both up at the same time. And then let's do this one as well. W, you love this block. Oh, you can't believe how nice it's turning out. Yeah, I love foundation paper piecing. It's just, I mean, you know, it's a whole process, so you got to get set up for it. But once you're doing it, it gets so relaxing. And just the magic of being able to create these intricate pieces. I always wondered, like the first time I saw quilts and quilt blocks like that with, you know, like whole pictures in the quilt, just with intricate cuts and stuff, I'm like, how could have anyone figured out how to cut this and sew it together? But then I learned about foundation paper piecing, and I'm like, oh, they know all these magic tricks. I get it now. All right, here's a little scrap of white that looks just like a perfect size. Yeah, all right, so let's, I'm gonna just cut this one piece. So again, I need that kind of angle, so I'm gonna fold this back just to get that correct angle. You know, we'll just get it like right here. And I think we'll be able to use this angle for both. So before I forget though, this is a right side and a wrong side, and but I can't tell. So this is the wrong side, this is the right side, just because it's white. So I'm gonna remember the right side, and I'm gonna match it up with the right side here. I cut this piece extra big, so I'm gonna just do a little fold over test there. We totally have enough space there, or enough blob there. I'm gonna actually pin this down so I can do the other one right away. Normally I'd probably just lift this over to the sewing machine. I suppose I didn't need to really pin on the line either, but we can do that test again. Okay, and then let's do this guy right away too. I think we can use the same piece, although I think we flip it now. Yeah, like that. So let's just trim. Okay, so right sides together. Do a little test. Ooh, I think we can scooch it down here. Ooh, maybe that was too much. All right, I think right there. And let's see if that is right. Get another pin in there. Ooh, let's put it flat. All right. Yep, we're good to go. So let's sew down these two little edges, and man, our paper piecing of all the sections will be done after this. Yay! Then we can start putting it together. All right, into the seam allowance again, and then straight on that line. All right, and before I snip, I'm gonna go to the other side here. Okay. All right, now let's snip these up and press them, press and trim, and we'll have all of our pieces. And you know what, you guys? I think we may just finish these two pieces, and then tomorrow, even though it's New Block Thursday, I think tomorrow we might start fresh. Like we might wrap this up early tonight, and then tomorrow start fresh on sewing together these pieces, because then maybe we can sew together the whole thing if we can get cruising on it. So I think we'll just do it one at a time. Oh, this is going to work out perfectly, these two squares. So instead of trying to fit it in the process tonight, even though we get new blocks tomorrow, we'll look at the blocks. We'll share what the new blocks for the quilt along are. But yeah, I think we might just continue on the grandfather block here, the clock. Just because we got all this stuff out, it would be a bummer to have to move it all and start something fresh. I feel like I'm committed to this piece now. I need to finish this before moving on. All right, just gonna trim it out. Ooh, this one's as long as the. Let's use the. Oh, let's just use this yet. It's a 6.5 inch block, and this is just 6.5 inches, so I'm right on the cusp here. All right. Then we'll take a peek at what this looks like yet too. I love trimming it though. We got all this gook, all these blobs on the edges, but we're gonna end up with absolutely perfect seam allowances when we're done, which is amazing. Oh gosh, Leslie, I'm not even sure how many blocks have been released yet. We're on our 29th block. This is the 28th block, and we worked on one after this. So it will be, the next block we start will be our 30th block, but way more have been released than that. That's just as far as we've gotten. All right, let's put this together. I'm gonna see what it looks like. All right, there's that piece. I'm gonna just bring out this so I can see, just so I can make sure that all the pieces are in the right spot. I'll lay that out above me here. Okay. Let's shimmy these around. Okay, so this guy goes here. I think this goes on, yep, this side and this side. So we lose seam allowances this whole time too. So this will still be kind of weird and blobby. And not, you know, be a perfect square or anything yet, but it'll get there. Oh, I did something wrong here. Oh, because this goes up here. All right, this goes down here. This goes here. And then we have this big square in the middle. So like I said, this will get all cinched up. And then it will all kind of come together. Let's just, for the sake of making it look more like a clock, there we go. Oh, it's getting there. Yay, okay. So that's that, you guys. Tomorrow we'll start matching up these pieces. So this is kind of the next part of paper piecing. The first part is you put together each individual section, but to get these to match up, we're gonna have to match points. Like we're gonna have to match this point to the point on this side so that when we sew them together, you know, like this angle looks like it continues up to be this angle. So we're gonna have to get like, you know, persnickety about that. So we'll work through that process tomorrow. So, but that's it for tonight, you guys. I'm going to flip you around and we'll call it a night. All right, so thank you everyone for joining me again. I will get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies here quick tonight if you wanted to see this process again. And be sure to check out the videos before as well. And I'll be back here tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time on the Penguin and Fish page. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Good night.